My superhero. He was happy. He loved everybody. He'll talk to a stranger. He don't care who it was. He would talk to anybody.
A 3-year-old boy remembered tonight. His mother pleads for answers. He had to wake of more gun violence.
The only acceptable statistic is a 0 suicide.
Taking the stigma out of suicide in Kern County. Tonight we learn about the initiative trying to make a difference and the goal put in place.
Live in high definition from Fox 58 in Bakersfield, this is Eyewitness News at 10.
And good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Rochelle Murcia.
And I'm Dave Gonzalez. Police are pleading for help in finding those responsible for the murder of a 3-year-old boy.
The boy's pregnant mother along with his brother were hurt in Friday's shooting. Police say at least one person stormed a home on Pershing Street near 10th and Union. They kicked in the door and began shooting. 3-year-old Major Sutton was killed. His mother, Janice Williams, and 5-year-old King Smith were both hurt. They, along with the unborn baby, are expected to survive. Bakersfield Police Chief Lyle Martin calls the shooting an act of senseless violence. He is urging anyone with information to come forward. Tonight, a vigil was held to remember Major Sutton. Eyewitness News reporter Raina Harvey was there.
He was my superhero. He was happy. He loved everybody.
Janice Williams is mourning the loss of her 3-year-old son, Major Sutton.
It's still unreal. I don't believe it.
After someone kicked in the door of her home Friday, shooting her, Major, and his 5-year-old brother, King Smith.
My baby was in there on YouTube playing and dancing, and he stood there and still decided to shoot. And they didn't have to go out like that.
The family, along with hundreds of community members and activists, came out to remember the 3-year-old with a bright future and love for learning.
He loved to go to school. Even when I was sick, he still wanted me to get up and take him to school. My baby.
Williams, who is currently pregnant, says Major's older brother, King, who is still recovering from his injuries, is traumatized.
My baby is in shock. I hate that they had to go through this.
As the candles from the vigil flicker on the stoop in front of her apartment, Williams has a message for other families.
This hurt. And they need to hold their kids real close. Because these boys, because they're not men, they don't care. They have no care in the world. Because whoever he was looking for or whatever he wanted, he seen it wasn't there, and he still decided to shoot multiple times.
She begs for someone to come forward.
They wrong, and they know they wrong. I just want them to know they took my baby and it hurt.
Reporting in Central Bakersfield, Raina Harvey, Eyewitness News.
Tonight we continue our week-long Zero Suicide Initiative coverage with a goal to end suicide in Kern County. Behavioral Health and Recovery Services is employing the help of peer navigators, a special mentor for those struggling.
And these peer navigators use their own life experiments to help people going through the same battles they did. Eyewitness News reporter Lexi Wilson shows us how empathy is one of the keys to zero suicide. Lexi.
That's right, Dave and Rochelle. Peer navigators are people in recovery from mental illnesses or substance abuse. While for many suicide is hard to talk about, these navigators are open to it because they've gone through it too. Depression, anxiety, alcoholism, homelessness can all be overwhelming. Many people go through it alone, but you don't have to.
Peers really do a great job of connecting with people because of that level of experience that they have. They can empathize with a client who feels like nobody's listening to them.
Jeffrey Kaya is the supervisor of the self-empowerment team at Kern Behavioral Health and Recovery Services. He says peer navigation was established to ensure people don't fall through the cracks, especially those with suicidal thoughts.
They develop that relationship in order to demonstrate to the clients that we completely understand what they're going through and that we're going to get them to the services that they need.
A peer navigator is more than a counselor. They're a former patient, so they're not afraid to talk about suicide and want to use their experience to support you.
I'm a suicide attempt survivor. Over the course of my life, I'm in recovery from a major mental illness.
Jamie Garcia is the administrator for the Recovery Supports Division at Kern Behavioral Health. When she was a teenager, she tried to kill herself.
I'm so grateful that I never completed a suicide. I would have missed a wonderful life a wonderful career, a wonderful experience with my family.
Now, Garcia uses her story to save others.
I am able to connect with people, and I think a lot of it has partly just because I don't come off like a clinician. I ask people permission. You know, I have some experience with suicide attempts. Do you want me to tell you about it? And ask their permission. And almost everybody does.
It takes just one person to listen, to care, to not judge. That can save a life.
No matter how bad you can feel and how severe the illness it is and how long it lasts, that you can still make it through alive.
Peer navigators provide positive change and understanding. They create hope and let people know there is a future to look forward to, and it's working.
That it's just about making a human and genuine positive connection with someone that's suffering, and that you can affirm that person, validate their experience, but also let them know gently that there's hope and that they're going to get better.
To get in contact with a peer navigator, you can reach out to the Consumer Family Learning Center at the number on your screen. These peer navigators want to get to know you and are here to help. At BakersfieldNow.com, we have a full list of resources and how you can get connected. Reporting live in studio, Lexi Wilson, Eyewitness News.
All right, Lexi, thank you. And our Zero Suicide Initiative coverage continues tomorrow on Eyewitness News Mornings on Fox 58, how you can get training right now to help save the life of someone considering suicide. And on Eyewitness News at 5 on KBFX, the warning signs even experts can miss and what you need to know to get friends and family help.
And as part of our effort to help with the Zero Suicide Initiative, we also want to provide people with access to resources. If you, a loved one or a friend, is having suicidal thoughts, or if you think they could harm themselves or others, call the Suicide Prevention Hotline at 800-991-5272. They'll help to guide you to the best resources available.
It was a pretty nice afternoon, although things are getting cool tonight. We are in this corridor of clear sky. You can see some clouds to the northwest and to the southeast of us, but here in Kern County it's pretty much completely clear, although we have had some indications of fog developing in some spots up in the mountains, mainly in the Tehachapi area right now, but there could be some patchy fog even here in the valley tonight. Right now it's 56 outside. We have calm winds, clear skies, and the air quality has gotten decidedly worse. It is up in the high end of moderate right now. A little bit of a surprise there, perhaps. Temperatures have dropped into the upper 40s already. In Delano, we're at 55 degrees downtown, 57 in Arvin. Up in the mountains, already down to 35 in Pine Mountain Club, and 43 degrees with some patchy fog in the Tehachapi area. You can see some clouds, or at least some moisture coming in. In fact, if you go far enough back, you can see a big area of moisture just upstream, and that will probably play out as rain by Thursday for us here in Central California. 56 right now in town. The humidity beginning to go up. Look at Tehachapi and Santa Maria. Visibility in Tehachapi down to 4 miles, but up in Hanford too, it's reduced a little bit. So there will be a little bit of patchy fog tonight. Temperatures dropping into the upper 40s in the Kern County mountains, areas of fog, especially up in the Tehachapi Pass. Lows in the mid-30s, and in the Kern River Valley, 40s tonight with mostly fair skies. We'll talk more about the weather and a big space launch coming up in about 3.5 hours in just a few minutes. Dave and Rochelle, back to you.
Tonight, investigators are looking into the death of a person in police custody. This afternoon, officers were called out to a bike path near Manor Street and Denise Avenue. They say a woman there claims that she was riding her horse on the path when she was threatened by a man with a gun. Officers got to the scene a few minutes later and found the suspect on the ground and took him into custody. An ambulance was called after he became unresponsive. Police have not said how the man died. The two arresting officers will be placed on routine administrative leave.
The FBI has added a man wanted for a Las Vegas murder to its 10 most wanted fugitives list, and investigators say he has ties right here to Kern County. 42-year-old Jesus Munguia is accused of violently murdering his estranged wife in July of 2008. Munguia is a known member of the Southern California gang Tepa 13 with a violent criminal history. Investigators say he has ties to Los Angeles and Bakersfield. The couple's 21-year-old daughter was the last of the 4 children to see her mother alive.
No child that ever deserves to go through what my father made us go through. As a kid, it was difficult growing up without a mom. To this day, it still is.
The FBI is offering a reward of up to $100,000 for information that leads to his arrest. Munguia is considered armed and dangerous.
Man is in jail tonight after police say he turned himself in following a deadly hit and run incident. Investigators say 41-year-old Ryan Forden called police and told him he was the driver that hit and killed a man. Crash happened at about midnight on Golden State Avenue near Chester Avenue. Coroner's office says 25-year-old Gabriel Jesus Hidalgo was killed. Forden now faces felony hit and run charges. New accuser coming forward now with sexual allegations against Roy Moore. How the Alabama Senate candidate is responding now in the midst of his campaign.
And there's a new way to get food in Bakersfield. We'll tell you about the app that will bring dinner straight to your door.
And lawmakers in Sacramento look to bring a dead bill back to life, and it could impact some restaurants. We'll tell you why owners say it won't make a difference.
And a winter storm watch now in effect just north of the Kern County line in the high Sierra. Could see some significant winter weather and some rain in the valley coming up a little bit later this week. We'll tell you when.
Dinner is now just a few taps away. Uber Eats has officially launched here in Bakersfield. It works like regular Uber, but instead of picking up and dropping people off, the driver will be picking up, dropping off food. Through the Uber app, you can look at some of the menus and place an order. The restaurant will be notified and start preparing your meal. Then an Uber driver is notified and will pick it up for delivery.
We've seen an actually highly engaged user base, so we're really excited to kind of feature the restaurants that people in Bakersfield want. I think, you know, if you're a busy person or maybe you're someone who's got a busy family life, right, and you might not have time to cook that night, I think Uber Eats is a great way for people who are busy or maybe they just don't have time or the opportunity to cook. They can simply just place that Uber Eats order, and with the click of a button, you can get food delivered to your house, your home, or your office.
More than 25 local eateries are already on Uber Eats. You can order from Bagels and Blenders, Fresco Mexican Grill, and Boss Pizza, among others.
Environmental advocates are making another push to get rid of foam takeout boxes for your food. So far, more than 100 California cities and counties have banned the styrofoam boxes. The plastic used is not biodegradable, and advocates say it hurts fish and animals. Opponents say banning it would kill jobs and only lead to higher costs for businesses. Still, advocates say they'll address the issue with the legislature when it reconvenes in just a few weeks.
There are some plastic wraps that can be compostable. So there's an opportunity to not just reduce the amount of plastics, but to substantially reduce the amount of waste we're generating, period.
A similar bill died on the Senate floor earlier this year, but backers of the measure are working to reintroduce it as early as January.
Another accuser says Alabama Senate candidate Roy Moore sexually assaulted her when she was a minor. 4 weeks before a special election, Moore is denying these accusations that he pursued inappropriate relationships with teenage girls when he was in his 30s. Kristen Holmes now has the latest on his reaction.
Mr. Moore reached over and began groping me and putting his hands on my breasts.
In an emotional statement Monday, Beverly Young Nelson recalling a night 40 years ago when she was 16. A night she says Roy Moore, then in his 30s, offered her a ride home from work.
He began squeezing my neck, attempting to force my head onto his crotch.
Becoming the 5th woman to accuse Moore, the GOP candidate for Senate in Alabama, of inappropriate behavior with a teenager. Nelson offering to testify under oath.
He said, "You're just a child." And he said, "I am the district attorney of Etowah County. And if you tell anyone about this, no one will ever believe you."
Moore denying the allegations.
I can tell you without hesitation, this is absolutely false. I never did what she said I did. I don't even know the woman.
And indicating a plan to sue the Washington Post, which published the first 4 allegations in a shocking report. The election is only 4 weeks away, and Alabama voters are facing a tough decision.
Well, I never was a Roy Moore supporter to begin with, but I see no reason why several women would come out and start talking about this stuff, you know, if it wasn't true.
I believe that if the good Lord's forgiven him, as a Christian, I have to forgive him also.
In Washington, increasing calls for Roy Moore to step down.
Or do you believe these allegations to be true?
I believe the women, yes. I think he should step aside.
In Washington, I'm Kristen Holmes.
President Trump wraps up his nearly 2-week tour of Asia, why he thinks he's made progress on some significant issues during his trip.
A major earthquake devastates parts of 2 Middle Eastern countries over the weekend. The death toll and an update on the recovery efforts.
Now, your Weather Authority forecast with Miles Museum.
Lovely day, huh?
It was a beautiful day.
It was lovely.
The weekend was...
It was just so, we had some clouds.
A little gray.
Yeah,
little
pretty
gray,
sunsets though. Those
They're very nice.
clouds made for some really nice sunsets.
Like today. In fact,
Yeah.
our own Jim Smith, who works here, and he's an engineer, and he took this picture this evening, and you can see right there it was a beautiful night. He was looking out to the southwest, and it is to the southwest that tonight the clouds have cleared. All this yellow that you see here, this is pretty much clear skies. And so a very important polar orbiting next generation weather satellite is about to be launched. It's going to be launched in just about, well, let's see here, about what, 3.5 hours, close to that? At 1:47 a.m., all you need to do is look to the southwest toward Vandenberg Air Force Base, and this rocket with the kind of a yellowish, orangey, kind of red tail behind it will go up. You'll see staging. You won't hear anything, but it'll be really neat. It's a Delta II launch vehicle. It'll be really neat. Don't forget, what time? 1:47. Look to the southwest, and the sky should be reasonably clear. That's the cool thing. Right now we have reasonably clear skies, although I have stuck in some patchy fog late tonight. Right now it's 56 degrees outside after a high of 69, a low of 47 degrees today, and off to the north it is a winter storm watch. Not a warning yet, but a watch. When it becomes a warning, it'll turn hot pink right here, and this will say warning on it. We're looking for 1 to 2 feet of snow, generally above above 6,000 feet, not too low, please. Cool mornings and mild afternoons for the next couple of days. Temperatures are going to be up into the upper 60s, maybe the low 70s. Then that cold front gets here, and I've now upped the rainfall potential from about 1/10 to 1/3 of an inch. Snow levels down to 5,500 feet. No significant snow expected. And then dry and chilly weekend mornings next weekend, obviously, but it'll be, as I said, dry. Temperatures upper 60s, low 70s today. And right now it's 56 degrees. Let's check out the dew points, about 10 degrees less. So it's still fairly dry. We will be seeing some fog up in the Tehachapi area already taking place right now. So here is the first cold front. This is just a weak affair. It's going to move off and won't be any problem. But we do have cold air coming down from the north. We have moist air coming up from the south. And so this is sort of a boundary right here where this tropical moisture meeting the cold air, and together they come together, and this cold front will eventually move in our direction. This will be for Thursday, and we're going to probably see some precipitation. Here comes the cold front. The first one pretty much dies out, is pretty much gone, as you can see, but then the next system comes down. And here it comes. This is on Wednesday. It's getting closer and closer, and you'll notice that snow is already beginning to develop here in the Sierra before the front ever gets here. Some significant rain off to the north. And here in the county of Kern, we're going to be looking at now more, up to as much as 3,700 of an inch. This may be a little bit overdone, but you can see Porterville, an inch of rain, and then down to the south, only 1/10 of that. So we'll be right on the southern edge of all of this. I've upped it now from 50 to 70% probability on Thursday. And temperatures a little cooler, 69 for a high tomorrow, and then cooler as we go into the weekend. Hey, there's Thanksgiving at the very end. Did you see the turkey there? 80% in the mountains on Thursday. Yes, and a 5,500-foot snow level. We'll have to get Greg Kerr out here. And 80% in the Kern River Valley, too. So a better chance for precipitation, but after Thursday, just a slight chance the following Monday.
Turkey doing his Greg Kerr impersonation.
That's what it is, yes.
Very good.
Thank you, Miles. Well, a new photo sharing app lets you be part of history. We'll explain how it time travels your pictures into the past.
Rescue operations are underway in Iraq and Iran after a powerful earthquake struck there overnight. It was a 7.3 earthquake along the Iran-Iraqi border. Rescuers worked around the clock to find survivors trapped under heavy rubble of collapsed buildings. More than 450 people were killed, more than 6,000 people hurt in both countries. The quake struck just after 9 on Sunday night and sent people scrambling to escape. More than 100 aftershocks have followed. The earthquake now replaces Mexico City's quake back in September as the deadliest of the year.
And President Trump is heading back to Washington, claiming he has made progress during his trip to Asia on pressing issues like trade and North Korea. Jim Acosta reports.
Trying to get a grip on leading the free world overseas, President Trump is ending his trip to Asia, claiming he is on a roll.
It was red carpet like nobody, I think, has probably ever received.
But on his final stop in the Philippines, he was in no mood to answer questions when reporters tried to press Mr. Trump and the president of the Philippines, Rodrigo Duterte, on human rights abuses in that country and whether those concerns were discussed between the two leaders during their 40-minute meeting. The Filipino leader shut down the questions.
We're not answering any. This is not the press stated.
And dubbed members of the media spies as Mr. Trump laughed. It all hit a sour note back in Washington as Senator John McCain tweeted, "Human rights obviously not a priority. Sad." It's no surprise the president was finished taking questions after the uproar he ignited when he yet again seemed to side with Russian President Vladimir Putin on Moscow's meddling in last year's election. Every time Putin sees me, he says, "I didn't do that," and I really believe that when he tells me that, he means it. Making matters worse, Mr. Trump even blasted former leaders of the U.S. intelligence community that concluded Russia did meddle. They're political hacks, so you look at it, you have Brennan, you have Clapper, and you have Comey. Comey is proven now to be a liar. Pressed to state once and for all he believes Russia intervened in the election, the president wavered again.
As to whether I believe it or not, I'm with our agencies, especially as currently constituted with their leadership. I believe in our intel agencies, our intelligence agencies.
And he ignored our attempts to clarify his comments.
Mr. President, why won't you say definitively whether Russia meddled in our democracy? Why won't you say that definitively, sir?
Two of the former intelligence officials assailed by the president as political hacks hit back on CNN's State of the Union.
I think he's giving Putin a pass, and I think it demonstrates to Mr. Putin that Donald Trump can be played by foreign leaders who are going to appeal to his ego and to try to play upon his insecurities.
Putin is committed to undermining our system, our democracy, and our whole process. And to try to paint it in any other way is, I think, astounding and, in fact, poses a peril to this country.
Just before his news conference, where he was pressed on Russia, the president fired off a tweet taunting North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un as short and fat, before suggesting they could somehow be friends.
I think anything's a possibility. Strange things happen in life. That might be a strange thing to happen, but it's certainly a possibility.
On trade, the president was going it alone, insisting he could negotiate better deals than the multinational Trans-Pacific Partnership crafted by the Obama administration. The result, the remaining 11 countries in the TPP, as it's called, are heading toward an agreement, only without the U.S. Don't tell the president who claimed victory.
We've made some very big steps with respect to trade, far bigger than anything you know.
New video uncovers major details of the case of the Penn State fraternity hazing death, how this changes the investigation.
Jurors in New Jersey are deadlocked. Today, the judge sends them home. What this could mean for the Bob Menendez trial. Prosecutors in the Penn State fraternity hazing death have filed new charges after reviewing what they call crucial evidence in the case. They say they were able to recover deleted surveillance video from the frat house basement. The district attorney's office initially charged 18 fraternity members in the death of Timothy Piazza. In September, a judge threw out the most serious charges, saying there was not enough evidence. But Piazza's father says the new evidence pokes holes in the defendant's stories.
They claimed, "We don't know what else happened other than what was seen in the upstairs video, and we don't know what happened in the basement."
At least 18 drinks in over 1 hour and 22 minutes. Never once obtained any of those drinks for himself. Brothers were coming up to him and giving him those drinks.
Prosecutors are also charging another fraternity brother with tampering with evidence, claiming he deleted the video, which was then later recovered by the FBI.
Federal jury in New Jersey says it is deadlocked on all 12 counts in Senator Bob Menendez's corruption case. Today, the judge excused the jurors, telling them to return tomorrow to continue their deliberations. Melendez and a wealthy donor face 18 counts against them. The most serious charge is honest services fraud. It carries a maximum 20-year prison sentence. One juror was dismissed last week. She suggested that this would be a hung jury.
I would hope that at the end of the day, after they finish tomorrow, that those who continue to believe in my innocence will stand strong, and that at the end of the day, no juror will be coerced into a decision. Thank you.
Prosecutors accuse Menendez of engaging in a bribery scheme. They say he accepted gifts from a Florida ophthalmologist in exchange for political favors. Both men deny all the charges.
A new photo sharing app is giving users the chance to be part of history. Circus Tech correspondent Dan Bean introduces us to Membit.
It's really a very different experience seeing something like this in augmented reality, because the photograph really feels like you're looking through a little window into the past.
This is Membit, a new augmented reality app that lets you share pictures in the real world. Think of it as a mix between an online shareable photo album and a Pokemon Go style AR scavenger hunt.
You can use Membit to take any photograph and put it wherever you want. You can pin it to 3D space and you leave it there so that other people can come back and see it again later in the exact same spot. You have the choice of making it public, private, or friends only.
App co-founder Jay Van Buren brought us to New York City's Times Square to view a Membit of the famous Kissing the War Goodbye picture, which he placed right on the corner where the iconic photograph was captured 70 years ago.
So we line it up with the world like this, and then we hit the button, and there it is.
Oh, wow.
And it's exactly in that spot. Our idea is that Membit is a tool for everyone to use to be able to share their story about a place and let other people know what happened there, what was important about that spot.
Membit has been available for iPhone for about a year, but the version that Van Buren and his team are releasing now uses Apple's new ARKit technology to greatly improve its look and functionality.
It allows for 6 degrees of freedom, so you can actually walk around it now, which is really cool. And AR Core on the Android side is going to be the same when we get to the point of being able to build our Android version. When people hear about Membit, they're like, oh yes, that sounds cool, but then when they see it, they freak out.
For Circa, I'm Dan Bean.
Cops across the country are getting a special treat thanks to a little boy. Why, he says it's important to appreciate officers everywhere.
And Barbie's latest Shiro is here, and she's breaking the barriers. We have a look at the doll designed after an Olympian.
Now, your Weather Authority forecast with Miles Museum.
Well, I've been talking about this launch coming up.
Oh, you mean the one at 147?
That's exactly right. A little more than 3 hours from now. It's going to be on a Delta II rocket. And here's what a Delta II looks like. If you look at the bottom down there, there are 8 separate solid rocket boosters, and they all come off at the same time. They sort of twirl and they do a little choreography. And you can see that from Bakersfield and from Tehachapi and Fraser Park. Because the skies will be generally clear tonight. That's very fortunate. So here is what the Delta II looks like. Once again, that launch coming up at 1:47, so we're a little bit more than 3 hours away. Check it out if you possibly can. Look to the southwest. You can't miss it. Unless some cloud cover comes through that's not forecast. Here's some clouds that came through earlier. You can see a little bit of haze down here. We have more haze now. I'm thinking we might have higher air quality tomorrow than first thought. 56 degrees at this hour after a high today of 69, low of 47 degrees. And we do have a moderate drought down to the south of us. And I'm a little concerned that this may grow in our direction over the next couple of months. Here's the La Mancha Index forecast. Right now we're at 1.2, which is up. But the good news is that the forecast, here's the days down here, here's December 6th, and we're going this way. You can see the dry trend peaks right here, the middle to the early part to middle of December, and then as we go into next year, January into February, we actually trend wetter, and that's based on the sea surface temperature forecasts for the area just west of here. So we'll see if that happens. I'm hoping that it will. 69 right now, 69 earlier today, that was our high, and 56 degrees right now. And here's what the fog situation looks like. Right now, visibility is going way back up again in the Tehachapi area, but a little bit of patchy fog will develop mainly to the west side over here, mainly up in Kings County. It's not going to be a widespread fog event. In fact, the fog season begins on the 15th, which is 2 days from now. So the 15th November all the way through Valentine's Day. That is the classic fog season. We're looking at some rain off to the north. You have to have rain first before you can really get the thick fog. Not that that's something we all want, unless you go to school and you want a fog day. We have plenty of precipitation moving into the Pacific Northwest all the way down to about the Sacramento area. Meantime, there's been a pretty significant snowstorm in northern portions of New England, and everything in between is pretty much quiet right now. Temperatures in the 40s and 50s, 60s down in the Dallas area. It's beginning to actually warm up a little bit in the Northeast. So we're going to have this weather system here push on in. It's going to move through on Thursday, going into early Friday, and then it'll push on out. The next system after that looks to be on Monday, and it's kind of a weaker system. I'm not so sure about that one. But the computes are going up. In fact, you can see now, this is the American model, is now giving us 0.4 of an inch of rain and much more to the north. That's because we have some tropical moisture that's getting entrained into this whole system. So it's coming up from the southwest, cold air coming in from the northwest, and they meet right here. San Francisco, 1 1/3 inches of rain. That's pretty good. So we hope that this happens. We'll be on the southern end of it, so it's looking a little bit better that we'll get some rain. 70% probability, 69 for a high tomorrow, a little warmer on Wednesday, and then we see cooler weather going into the weekend. The next chance for precipitation comes up on Monday, and in the mountains, about a 5,500-foot snow level. That'll be on Friday, and an 80% probability of rain. Nothing real heavy here. But if you go to the north, it will be much heavier. There you can see a nice couple of days before a chance for rain on Thursday. And I hope everybody has the opportunity to watch this launch tonight. It'll be pretty cool. Doesn't happen every day.
I'll be a little tired tomorrow, but it'll be worth it.
It's worth it, yes.
All right, Miles, thank you.
Coming up here, a boy in Florida decides to give to others on his birthday. And now he's taking his new mission nationwide. We'll learn about the exciting journey he took with his mom. A Florida boy just celebrated his 10th birthday by giving back to others as part of a nationwide mission to thank police officers for their service in every single state. Caroline Shively has the story.
Chocolate or powder?
Powder.
It all started when Tyler Karach and his mom made a stop for donuts. Tyler, then just 8 years old, asked his mom Sheena if he could use his allowance to buy the officers inside donuts as a token of his appreciation. She said yes, and it sparked an idea.
And when we left, I said I want to thank every cop in America.
More than a year later, Tyler has been dubbed Donut Boy, and with good reason. He's passed out more than 45,000 donuts across 28 states.
Gotta have the bunny ears.
That includes a 10th birthday blowout that Tyler and his family wrapped up Monday. They visited 10 states in 10 days, taking them from Texas to California to Minnesota's Mall of America.
They love having him come in there and be basically their biggest cheerleader. You know, unfortunately they receive a lot of negative, and so it's really nice for them to be able to just have that break and, you know, just focus on something positive and be appreciated for everything they do.
Police officers say the love goes a long way.
It makes us all feel special, you know. It's a good career, and he's, you know, that's what I wanted to do when I was a kid, so I can put myself in his shoes.
And Tyler, who wants to be a canine officer someday, says it's his chance to teach people a lesson all around the country.
To not hurt police officers, because if you're mean, why would you be mean to somebody that protects your family?
Tyler and his family are set to hand out even more of these babies next year. They even have a trip here to D.C. for National Police Week. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Now, Eyewitness News Sports with Craig Kerr.
What'd she say?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, never talk with your mouth full.
That's right. Well, switching gears here, CSUB got a little work to do.
Yeah, they do. But young team, early in the season. Rod Barnes said, give them a dozen games or so. We'll see what's what.
CSUB head coach Rod Barnes indeed said there were going to be growing pains. He just didn't know it would look like this and come this soon. Runners at Georgia Southern and Eagles team, which, by the way, just upset Wake Forest at the ACC. And we have some highlights from Statesboro, Georgia. Rough start from the very start. I mean, Monte Glenn beats the shot clock right here for the Eagles, early 3-0 lead. On a night when the lights went out a couple times, literally, they had to change basketballs after just one possession. It was a rather weird night. You know, have Sean Briggs check it out. Yeah, I think it works okay. So back to the action. Ike Smith, last year's leading scorer in the Sun Belt Conference, hits a 3, and you get an idea the runners might be in for a long night. Sean Briggs answers for the runners, hitting a deep one himself. However, some poor shooting, too many turnovers, and Tookie Brown right here in for the score. All these early highlights. The runners had a lot of turnovers. There's one right there. Another one coming up here. 18 turnovers for the Road Runners. And then Monte Glenn with a two-handed slam coming up. The Eagles run the runners off the floor, 77-53. There's a rematch December 16th at the Icardo Center, by the way. Hello Ndoye had 13 points to lead the way. Damian Durham had 12. Runners under 40% from the field, 23% from three-point range, and an awful 31% from the foul line. And again, Thursday they will be back in action at nationally ranked Arizona. Lakers and Suns. Jordan Clarkson, corner three, knocking that one down. Now, when you're Lonzo Ball and you're shooting as poorly as he did, they'll leave you open. And that's a deep three for Lonzo. But Jordan Clarkson, the story tonight, he had 25 points. They call it a season high, but the season's only a week old. Anyway, Lakers going to win 100-93. Cavaliers and Knicks. LeBron and Enes Kanter are getting at each other. A little barking with each other. Oh, a little shoving, a little talking. See from another angle right here as they're sort of getting into each other. Yeah. And by the way, the Knicks were backing it up with some defense and some just good play. Tim Hardaway Jr. right here. Picking LeBron and throwing it down. They were up by 16. And then Kyle Korver caught fire in the fourth quarter. And with the game tied at 97, LeBron had the last say, knocking this one down. Cavaliers win 104-101. Magic and Warriors, Kevin Durant, the block at one end, pulls it down, and then brings it up the floor, and promptly steps back and knocks down a jumper. He had 21. Sean Livingston, easy deuce here. Warriors going to win by a final of 110-100. Well, maybe this will take the sting out of a disappointing World Series. Dodgers rookie Cody Bellinger, he's a unanimous choice National League Rookie of the Year. Bellinger had 39 home runs to walk away with the award. He's the 18th Dodger to win the award. No surprise, American League side either. Yankee slugger Aaron Judge, like Bellinger, named unanimously on the American League side. He had 52 homers. That's a Yankee rookie record to claim the award. What do you do with the Oakland Raiders when they have a bye week? What do you figure they're doing? They go to Las Vegas to break ground on the new stadium in New Home City. The state-of-the-art stadium will seat 65,000 fans. Ceremony highlighted by 58 beams of light behind the stage representing each of the victims of the mass shooting there on October 1st, a tragedy we know all too well here in Bakersfield. Raiders hope to kick off the season in 2020 in their new home.
The Raiders hold a special place in the hearts of football fans around the world, and we appreciate how they've been embraced by the state of Nevada and the city of Las Vegas.
The Raiders are proud and honored to be joining such a special team. For together, we are Vegas strong.
All right, Monday Night Football, Panthers and Dolphins. Dolphins been on national TV 3 weeks in a row. I still don't know why. 10-7 Panthers, just before the half, Cam Newton to Ed Dixon, 17-7 at the break. Did I mention the Dolphins had lost all three on national television? Third quarter, Newton to Devin Funchess, and suddenly it's 24-7. They would tack on another for a 30-7 lead. And just for fun, Cam Newton busting loose for a 69-yard run right here, which would set up yet another score as the Panthers go on to win and win big by a final of 45-21. And finally, round two of the high school football playoffs kicking off this Friday. It's also round two for BHS and Liberty. Just 2 weeks ago, the Patriots beat the Drillers in the regular season finale. Less than 48 hours later, the playoff pairings came out, each with the first round bye, only to face each other in round two. Familiar opponent, high stakes, another edition of BHS Liberty.
Hopefully our kids buy in the whole thing. We're playing ourselves Friday night. You know, it's the turnover ratio. It's the penalties. It's the things that we beat ourselves in a lot of times. And you know, it is. I told our kids, you know, last week or when we played them last time, this is a semifinal type game. Both these programs are that good. And so we got to come in and do what we do and be very detailed with it with a lot of passion.
All right. So there you go.
All right.
We'll hear from Liberty tomorrow, by the way.
Okay, looking forward to it, and we'll be right back.
And don't forget, you can always find us on Facebook, you Facebookers, and Twitter as well, you Twitterers, as well as BakersfieldNow.com. You can catch us on Eyewitness News right now at 11 o'clock over on KBFX CBS, or keep it right here. TMZ is coming up next.
Mattel has unveiled a new Barbie created in honor of the Olympic fencer Ibtihaj Muhammad. Last year, Muhammad became the first Muslim American woman to compete while wearing a hijab. One-of-a-kind doll fashioned in her likeness makes her the newest inductee into the Barbie Shiro series. According to Mattel, the Shiro's program was created to honor women who break boundaries. The new doll, which is the first Barbie to wear a hijab, will also be available starting next year. There you go.
Nice. All right, our weather is going to be nice next couple of days, but there's a pretty good chance for rain now coming up on Thursday. It continues into early on Friday, and we could see perhaps a quarter-inch of rain with that, much more off to the north. And then there is the turkey at the very end right now, looking to be upper 60s for Thanksgiving Day.
Good-looking turkey there. That'll do it for us, folks. Thanks for watching Eyewitness News at 10.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good.